Hello, welcome everybody into an episode of Titans Tube. As the season approaches, we are entering Season 5 of Titans Tube, and for all of you out there that have followed us, we appreciate it. We appreciate all of you who have subscribed and support this channel. It means a lot, even though we have not really existed this offseason. So we have a lot to talk about here, and there's going to be some changes. As you can see, this beautiful gentleman right next to me is Jake. Jake Shook. How you doing, Jake?
I'm doing great, Justin. It's an absolute pleasure to be on. I appreciate letting me be a part of this.
Yes. And guys and gals, I want you guys to get very familiar with this face you're seeing next to me because, as I mentioned, there are going to be some changes to this channel that we're going to address right here, right now, before we get into Titans football. In regards to Caleb, my co-host, my beloved friend and fellow Titans fan, he's doing fine. He's great. He's still always a Titans fan, but right now he's doing a lot of traveling and working for travel and then also traveling for recreation and just doing a lot of that right now, which is awesome. And obviously that's pretty ballin', and I kind of want to be doing that as well. But
same here, man.
Yeah, it's pretty great. But I mean, we talked, and he just said, look, I cannot reliably, be able to put out videos weekly with the workload throughout the week that we have. We're planning on doing 3-4 videos a week. We're planning on doing our regular preview post-game episodes, and also hopefully bringing back our weekly picks videos, which took a little bit of time to make, which is kind of why it dropped off last year, and I know a lot of people were asking about it and missed it. But hopefully we'll be able to do that with Jake. So that's where we are right now with Caleb. He's just too busy, has too much going on right now to be able to commit to this season. He might be able to do a little call-in, a phone-in, and record some audio for us. But we're going to be stuck, excuse me, we're going to be stuck with great pleasure with Jake, who has graciously agreed to help us this year. It's a big commitment, and I got to be honest, if he didn't agree to be a part of the show this season, I don't know if I would have even stuck around to do this. I can't do this by myself. Look how much of an idiot I'm already, sounding like an idiot, sounding like I can't even talk by myself. So, Jake, please interrupt me and take the microphone away from me because I can't talk by myself.
All good. Hey, I appreciate the introduction. Caleb was great and still is very great. I've been a fan of Titans Tube since very early on. And
thank you.
With great pleasure, let's get. You said Season 5 it was?
Yeah, we started in 2016, so 17, 18, 19, and this is 25. This is the big 5.
But yeah,
just 5. Yeah.
Well, without further ado, let's get it underway.
Yeah. And you're also rocking a pretty ballin' mustache, and I know Caleb also had times where he would shave everything but his mustache, and it would also be ballin'. So I feel like you purposefully did that to honor him. Is that correct or not?
Yeah, I've been grooming this mustache for years, hoping to get this opportunity today. So I'm pretty excited for sure.
Okay, well that's awesome. Anyway, so Jake, if you think that you can just come on to Titans Tube and just seamlessly take the reins with me for the season without, putting in your due diligence and the process that we have here whenever anyone comes onto Titans Tube to become a permanent member, they have to take our Titans Tube pledge and oath of allegiance, which is a custom that is literally starting just now because I wrote this up last night, and so we just have to make sure that you're all in, and this is the way we do things around here. Are you ready?
Fair enough.
I need you to repeat after me. Put your right hand over your heart, your other hand on a Titans merchandise, if you can.
Service brand.
There
tumbler.
It is. I like it. You can stand or kneel. We don't care here at Titans Tube. That's not controversial here at all. Anyway, not to turn off anyone else here. All right. So repeat after me, sir.
I'm ready.
Repeat after me.
I,
Jake of the House Shook.
I, Jake of the House Shook.
Hereby declare my undying allegiance to the Tennessee Titans football team.
Hereby declare my allegiance to the Titans football team.
Not just any allegiance, but my undying allegiance.
My undying allegiance to the Titans football team.
I shall put them above and beyond any duty for which I previously thought myself loyal to.
I shall put them above any duty I previously found myself loyal to.
Including my faith, family, and country.
Including my faith, my family, and my country.
I hereby recognize our grand guru, John the Rob Father Robinson.
I hereby recognize our guru, John the Rob Father Robinson.
As the one who shall lead us to our eternal glory.
As the one who shall lead us to our eternal glory. I appreciate the more segmented chunks.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we talked about this. It's a little too long, so if you guys are already annoyed, just skip ahead. Okay. And to question his decision-making is Titan heresy.
And to question his decision-making is Titans heresy.
No stumbling. Jeez. You're out. You're out.
Jeez.
I'm just
wow.
kidding.
Well, it was a great run. Thanks for having me.
You lasted 2 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
I will speak of the Titans with such great bias and of the highest regard.
I will speak of the Titans with such great bias and the highest regard.
That I am willing to dispute facts which might logically counter any evidence that suggests anything other than Titan greatness.
And dispute any facts that may
logically
counter, thank you,
any evidence that suggests anything other than Titan greatness.
Any evidence of anything that suggests non-Titan greatness with my art.
It's a poorly written oath. I don't blame you. This is poorly written. That's the way we do things around here. Titans Tube is poorly. We're almost done here with the pledge.
All right.
At no point,
I'm still there.
At no point in my life will I ever think or speak positively about the Colts, Texans, or Jaguars.
Never in my life will I think or speak positively of the Houston Texans, Indianapolis Colts, or Jacksonville Jaguars.
Ooh, okay. Or interact with goodwill with fans of those teams therein.
Or interact.
This is dumb.
You're killing me, man. Interact with their fans with goodwill therein. Nailed
Good. Nailed that. I will never visit those cities or spend any money to support them, including any future doomsday scenarios such as famine or drought.
I will never travel to or support those cities financially in any event, including famine or drought.
You should have written this oath. You make it sound better when you repeat it.
Jeez.
All right, almost here, almost done. In regards to the chosen one, Marcus Mariota.
And in regards to the chosen one, Marcus Mariota,
his touchdown pass to himself in the playoffs against the Chiefs will take precedence in my memory.
His touchdown pass to himself against the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs will take precedence in my memory.
Over my own wedding day and the birth of my first child.
Over my own wedding day and the birth of my first child.
It's very important. Whom I will name Marcus Mariota, whether it be a boy or girl.
Whom I will name Marcus Mariota, whether it be a boy or a girl.
I miss him so much.
I miss him so much.
However, I do recognize the new era of King Henry and Ryan Tannehill.
However, I do recognize the new era of King Henry and Ryan Tannehill.
And will write them in on my presidential voting ballot in November.
And will write them in my presidential voting ballot in November.
Beautiful. Lastly, I understand that betraying any of the promises I've set forth today is subject to penalty of death.
I understand that going back on any of the promises I made today are subject to death, even though I'm not quite sure what I promised to. Other than have a great season on Titans Tube, and hey, let's do it, man.
Okay. Oh, all right, we got through it. I don't know if that was worth it, but we're like 10 minutes into this video now, and we got some Titans football to talk about, Jake.
For sure.
We had, like, you guys have been keeping up with the team in this season, and yeah, we haven't discussed a lot of things like the transactions, new roster additions, roster losses. If we can briefly, real quick, so we lost a lot of elderly leadership on the team, such as Delaney Walker, Wesley Woodyard, whose careers are kind of coming to an end. We also lost one of the biggest leaders in Jarrell Casey, whom I very much expressed my displeasure for, and J-Rob in that move. So I did question J-Rob's move right there, and that's
wow, yeah,
dude.
Hey,
so What am I doing here? I
Yeah.
I should be on death row. So I'm seeing that we did lose a lot of leadership. We lost some talent as well. Logan Ryan, talented. Obviously, Casey. Jack Conklin is a solid right tackle. Never really lived up to that first All-Pro year, though, he had in his rookie season. We also lost some depth at cornerback, too, with LaShawn Sims. So, Jake, what do you think, which loss do you think will impact the team the most and that we haven't adequately, filled the void yet with?
I would say it's going to be either, Jack Conklin or Wesley Woodyard, just because, with Jack Conklin going out at right tackle, you're going to lose some cohesiveness of that O-line. I know he was a part of that, group that was at the Predators games, chugging beers, and that was a very tight-knit group, so losing, one of them is a big loss. And then Wesley Woodyard as just a locker room presence, and he was a captain his entire time here, is a big hit to leadership on that defense, in my opinion, especially with Dean Pease going out this year and Vrabel calling the defense.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, man, Dean Pease. Actually, I want that to be my answer. I think the Dean Pease departure, that could potentially be a very bad thing. Because, I keep thinking about, remember that game against the Colts when he had that health scare and he had to leave the booth, and then Mike Vrabel took over the defensive play calling and Luck just lit us up, which might have happened regardless, but Dean Pease left in like the first half of that game.
I was in attendance.
Oh, right.
It was a tough day, but,
yeah.
At least we had fun.
Did we, though? Did we?
Nice. Anyways, continue.
I was at 2 away Colts games. I don't think I was at that one, though. That wasn't at the one that happened last year. No, the year before last. I can't remember if I was there. It doesn't matter. The point is Mike Vrabel's defensive play calling is a little questionable. I know that the Houston Texans, when he was the defensive coordinator there, I've heard many of those fans saying, our defense was like literally last in the league in yards allowed per game. Mike Vrabel's not a great defensive play caller. He's a good leader, and he can rally the troops and inspire players to play great. But when it comes down to the X's and O's, he was kind of a letdown for that team, and we didn't really see that. As a head coach, he seems like this is a great fit. He seems like a very head coachy guy, like a Mike Tomlin, like a guy that the entire team respects, and he. His job on the field is to make the big decisions, go for it on fourth down, challenge this play, do this and that, which he's kind of he's had some questionable, decision making early on in his head coaching career with us, but I think he's corrected to becoming really solid in that regard. So I don't know, how do you feel about the Dean Pease thing, and do you trust Mike Vrabel with the play calling of the defense?
Going back to that oath, man, I'm gonna stray off again really early on here, man. Having a rough first 15 minutes here, but I sometimes call Mike Vrabel a bit of a blockhead sometimes, because I do feel like he can get that tunnel vision and he can get that aggressive at all costs mentality, and he's had the benefit of it not losing a ton of games, if any. One that comes to mind is I was at the Tampa Bay Bucks game last year, and he could have kicked up a field goal to go up 7, but instead he had our all-pro punter sneak out on the side and get obliterated. Should have been a fumble, scoop and score the other way, but he was lucky that it was overturned. So there's several more examples in my head, but Mike Vrabel sometimes with that overly aggressive mindset, I think could get us into trouble. As far as the X's and O's go, I was listening to the OTP earlier this week, and I'm not exactly sure if it's 100% decided who's going to be calling X's and O's on defense, but I know he's going to be, at the helm at the end of the day as head coach and being a defensive guy.
Who is that other name? Shane Bowen? He's one of the assistant defensive coaches, and I'm pretty sure I did read something about him possibly doing, or maybe split between him and Vrabel, or maybe it just might be him. What is he, the linebackers coach or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. I believe so.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Wait, I was gonna bring up my notes here. Yeah, so I feel like Dean Pease would be our biggest loss. I do like what you said about Woodyard. I think he probably was really instrumental in helping bringing along our awesome dynamic duo of Jayon Brown and Rashawn Evans.
Oh, my God.
Because those are two outstanding-looking young linebackers who hopefully they're a tandem for years to come. Please stay healthy. And I think he's probably real instrumental about, helping them adjust to the NFL, how to act like a professional, doing things the right way. I bet Woodyard had a big hand in that. So yeah, I'm gonna miss Woodyard. I feel like in like 10 years we're gonna look back and be like, I don't hear his name brought up anymore, but he was probably one of the most underrated Titans of all time. He came in and did his job beautifully. He had an outstanding, I think, like 2018 season, and then he played really well as a depth guy this past year. So yeah, Woodyard, sucks to see him go. You said Jack Conklin. Do we believe in Dennis Kelly to be a solid right tackle, or are we ready to, or obviously Isaiah, the Panda Bear, Wilson, that's his name, right?
Big
Isaiah
Panda.
Wilson. So obviously those are the two, one of the two is going to be starting week 1. I would like to see our first-round pick being able to get in there and just start playing, kind of like how Jack Conklin did. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I trust Dennis Kelly to, hold his ground. But I do like how Dennis Kelly is very interchangeable along the line. He can play multiple positions. I think he's great insurance. So I'd rather him be in that role than have his feet stuck at right tackle and not be able to, play anywhere else. So hopefully Isaiah Wilson can get up to speed.
For sure.
Let's see. And I think I would say Jarrell Casey is probably the biggest loss. We haven't really, who's the leader there on the line? I mean, Jeffrey Simmons is probably our best player, but is he ready to take that leadership role? I don't know. Daquan Jones, how about an unspoken, solid contributor, because he's not, what's the saying? Not spectacular, but solid. I don't know what saying I'm trying to think of right now, but he's still on this team and he's pretty good for us. I mean, he can be kind of that
good, yeah.
Yeah, the quietly the steady Eddie of our defense. So he's there, and then it's just a bunch of other guys. As far as the big guys, I know we've got Correa and Landry on the outside. Hopefully we'll see. Obviously Clowney is in the news every day, all kinds of speculation.
Oh jeez.
But I don't know. I'm worried about the depth on our defensive line, and that's pretty much it. That's all I have to say about that. But as far as our additions go, we talked about Isaiah Wilson. We're basically replacing Logan Ryan with Christian Fulton, and Darrington Evans was coming in for Dion Lewis, and I'm definitely expecting more production out of Darrington Evans than what Dion Lewis was giving us, and I'm excited to see Darrington Evans play. I wish there was a preseason, because he would be probably my #1 guy I would watch, just to see his skill set on full display in the National Football League. But but we'll see. Yeah, we also signed Vic Beasley. We could talk about his absences, but I'd rather not.
Did we sign Vic Beasley? I'm not sure.
Yeah, he showed up, or did he fail a physical?
Failed a physical. He's the only starter not on the active roster right now.
Oh my goodness! All right, whatever.
Paying
Come
dividends.
on, Vic. Jonathan Joseph. I'm not. Dude's like 37. I hope he stays at cornerback 4, and because if he has to go up against T.Y. Hilton, he's got to be losing speed. Once you're that old, he seems like a solid guy for depth. It's like a LaShawn Sims kind of replacement, I guess. But I hope we don't have to count on him to start personally.
For sure, I wasn't a huge fan of the Jonathan Joseph signing at the beginning, but it is known that he has a really good relationship with a certain Jadeveon Clowney. So if he can get Clowney into a Titans jersey, he's probably done his job.
Then we'll cut Joseph and be like, "Thanks, you did what we brought you here to do."
Yeah, for sure.
Well, also he played for Vrabel with Houston. Clowney
That's
did,
a good
right?
point too. Yeah.
And
yeah,
Joseph.
for sure.
So hopefully, maybe Vrabel, if he still has a good relationship with him, he can draw him in, talk him down for that asking price. Jonathan Joseph.
We have a couple re-signings. Just the lower level guys: Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry. End of the roster guys. But
the scrubs. Great.
But those two big extensions in the offseason. We got Ty Smith back, who might see an expanded role with Logan Ryan being out of the lineup. The three-headed monster at tight end gets another year with Ferkser and Pruitt both signing extensions.
I like that.
Dennis Kelly and Correa both got another a couple years added onto theirs. And other than Henry and Tannehill, which two do you think stand out the most?
Quick comment on Correa. He really was quietly coming on at the very end of last year, and I'm pretty sure he saved himself a roster spot with his performance in the playoffs. Didn't he get to Lamar Jackson a few times?
It seemed like every momentum-changing sack, it was 44 with Correa, and quietly, but it always seemed like he had an impact in those playoff games without a doubt.
Yeah. I think he saved himself a roster spot. And I think that's good. He's a good depth guy. What was your question? What was the biggest signing?
Yeah,
well, obviously Henry and Tannehill, right?
Yeah.
Oh, other than them. the big formula with those two, yeah, pretty much changing the complexion of our whole team. I like Ferkser, man. Talking about people who contributed to us for us in the playoffs. Ferkser was solid, and I would like to see him get the ball more. He's got good hands. He seems like a smart player. He's in the right spot at the right time. Converted a huge third down for us in the New England playoff game, and he caught a touchdown pass in that game too. I think he caught a garbage time touchdown in the AFC Championship game, but I really like what he brings. I like his versatility. I think he's got some good chemistry with Ryan Tannehill. I'm excited to see Ferkser and him becoming more active in the passing game this year.
Sure, for sure, without a doubt. I feel like, going back to, the Mariota to Delaney connection, it always felt like Delaney was open up the seam and the timing was always there. I feel like Ferkser and Tannehill really started that connection last year, especially more towards the end of the year. Ferkser, Harvard guy, and for the color commentary there, but I really feel like that could be a connection that was similar to Mariota to Delaney, red zone especially.
Yeah, definitely. Excited about him. So what else we got? Correa Fulton. Yeah, I really like the Christian Fulton pick. I've gone back and watched some of his highlights. Just a good athlete, is able to track the ball, knock it down. I feel like he's in a good spot playing as a cornerback 3 behind Malcolm Butler and Adoree. And man, if Malcolm Butler can keep his wrist unbroken and Adoree, I think he missed a few games at the end of last year. If he can stay healthy, I really like the outlook of this defensive back group, because obviously Byard and Kenny Vaccaro, totally biased, but I think they're probably the top 5 safety tandem in the league, if not higher than that. Yeah. And Malcolm Butler was playing real good. I feel like he was having a Pro Bowl year for us until week 9 when he went down with an injury to Carolina.
Yep. Jinx.
Man, yes. I can't speak anymore now. Now you have to take over. Malcolm Butler could have been very much used against the Chiefs. I don't know if he would have changed the whole game. I don't think we would have won if it was Malcolm Butler out there covering some of those receivers as opposed to our other guys. But, man, we really missed him in that AFC Championship game.
I think it's worth bringing up. I feel like, in reference to additions and subtractions this year, I feel like a lot of fans especially go back to what was the missing piece to beat Kansas City in that AFC title game, because the Titans were on an absolute roll, not afraid of anyone. And what can stop Patrick Mahomes? And I feel like that might be the verbiage of everybody in the AFC right now, is who's going to slow down the Chiefs. But especially with the Titans going down. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Go for it.
As you might, as we continue to do videos, and what Caleb probably understood about how I do things is I'll interject pretty much whenever I want to completely ruin your train of thought, and I'm very sorry. It's a bad habit, and I need to break
worries.
It.
Hey, we're working out the rust. OTAs. Working out the rust. OTAs.
Yeah, we're in OTAs right now.
But go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I think this is now Patrick Mahomes' league. I think he's the face of the NFL. He's the guy to beat. He's not gonna say like he's the new Tom Brady or whatever. Everyone's gunning for him like that. But he's on top right now. This is Mahomes' league, and the rest of us are just playing in it or watching it unfold. So who's gonna stop this guy? And it's funny because I think I saw a similar thing. I read about how the Baltimore Ravens, and either through free agency or draft, was very like defensive-minded or front seven-minded, and people were like, yeah, their number one plan is to figure out how to stop Derrick Henry this year, because that was the one thing that probably cost them a Super Bowl appearance. And for us, it's like, how are we going to find a way to stop Patrick Mahomes? That's like our the guy that we've got to get past. So yeah, it's kind of similar in that regard.
For sure. It's awfully strange talking about the Titans roster additions and subtractions in reference to, we were one game away from a Super Bowl last year. How can we get over that hump versus, how can we get over the hump from being, a teetering wild card team? And, we were a teetering wild card team last year in a way, but that playoff run definitely elevated our status, I would hope, with the rest of the league.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, some people want to talk about our run last year and be like, they just caught fire. They were magical. They caught fire for this magical run. They're going to come back down to earth probably next year. And it was like, no, we went like 7-3 once Tannehill took over. And, how we were playing and the way we were putting up points and winning games, I think we legitimately, including the Chiefs, we beat the Chiefs in the regular season. I think we were legitimately one of the best teams in the AFC by the end of this regular season. And if those fans that had been watching us since Tannehill took over, they knew that New England shouldn't be sleeping on us. And even I had my doubts against Baltimore because they were on like a 12-game winning streak. Lamar Jackson unstoppable. So that win surprised me, and especially in the way that we beat them too. But it wasn't like totally shocking. Yeah, Titans are 9-7. They just caught fire at the right time. It's like, no, we'd been doing this for like 10 weeks, and we looked like one of the better teams in the entire AFC. So, I mean, I'm expecting to be extremely good again this year. Hopefully we can capture that elusive division title that we haven't had since 2008. But, I mean, if you make the AFC championship game, it's like, who cares about the division title? Look how far that we went. I don't care about that now.
For sure. I guess moving on to our next point here, Justin, is there something you're specifically looking out for in the season coming up? Be it Vrabel taking over the defense, or cornerback group without Logan Ryan, which you touched on a little bit. Is there anything that you're specifically looking out for this year?
I'm thinking. I'm deep in thought right now. I'm looking at a few players in particular, like Corey Davis. I would really like to see him get more involved in the pass game. I am a hardcore Corey Davis fan and believer. He doesn't have the production to show for how good he is. His numbers are not eye-popping whatsoever. But if you watch his tape, the dude can play. The dude is a great blocker, obviously. He's kind of become known as that's the one thing he does for this team, and he does it extremely well. But what does he give us in the receiving game? The dude has great hands. He's a strong receiver. He can catch the ball in traffic. He's fast. He has all the tools. It's kind of odd to see him not put up better numbers. And like A.J. Brown, it clicked right away, and then he excelled. And that's fantastic. Love A.J. Brown. But I would love to see more of a more consistent 1-2 punch in the passing game with them. But I know the offense, we got a lot of weapons. We got a lot of players that we can spread the ball around to. And this is I'm saying that on a probably still going to be run-first offense with Derrick Henry. But we have the three-headed monster at tight end. We got Adam Humphries in the slot. We got Khalif Raymond, who we should talk about a little bit later. We got a lot of pass catchers on this team, but I would really like to see Corey Davis making such an impact that other defenses are going to have to kind of scheme and keep their eye on around, because I think he can be that difference maker. And we've seen him ball out in a handful of games over the last 3 years, and then he just kind of disappears a little bit after that. So I would love to see more consistency there, and I feel like we could have one of the more unstoppable offenses in the league.
For sure.
So that's me. That's my answer. How about you?
All good. I just touching on what you said about Corey Davis. I'm a big Corey Davis fan too, and my whole circle of friends is always, he's a bust, he's a bust, he's a bust. But I saw a good anecdote that if you take away the draft capital of taking him at 5 overall, that is, if he was drafted in the second, third round, he would be a fan favorite. Hard-working guy, keeps his head down. Really, it seems like every time Derrick Henry breaks one to the outside, who's in front of him blocking but Corey Davis?
Yeah, same thing for A.J. Brown, too, whenever he makes a big play.
For sure. So, yeah, I would like to see Corey Davis get a little more production as well. The one specific thing, other than a division title, I like that you had brought that up. God, I just want to get over that hump of winning the AFC South so bad. And Vrabel, I would be 100% bought into Vrabel and no longer calling him a blockhead if he can bring a division title and get a home playoff game this year. But there's one specific thing, and I wanted to shout out Mike Herndon on Twitter for this one, because I've always found this incredible and unbelievable, and he's one of the only people I've seen throw out this stat. But since moving to Nashville and becoming the Tennessee Titans, the single-season passing leader is none other than Matt Hasselbeck in 2011. And he threw
aging Matt Hasselbeck.
Yeah, no, that's
Matt Hasselbeck.
Yeah, absolutely. And he threw for 3,000. The stat gets more pathetic. He threw for 3,571 yards. And to put that into perspective, 16 quarterbacks in the NFL topped that mark last year.
That's an insane stat.
So in the coming up on almost 25 years of, well, I guess it would be, we just had 20. So 22nd year of football in Nashville, and we haven't had a quarterback be in the top 16 passers in the league. So I would like to see Ryan Tannehill break that curse.
It was just last year. It was just last year, you said, too, that 16 topped our biggest passing yardage season in Titans history. And he was throwing to Jared Cook and Kenny Britt, and Nate Washington, who are good players. Kenny Britt, he had one flashy season before he got hurt. Or no, he had that incredible season where Kenny Britt had like 400 yards after 3 games, and then he tore his ACL or something. And then I think he was hurt that year. I'm not sure.
So
it was that year. Yeah. I remember thinking, dude, Matt Hasselbeck to Kenny Britt is unstoppable. This is going to be amazing to watch all year. And like the very next game, boom, out for the year.
It's amazing how tortured as fans we are to think that Matt Hasselbeck to Kenny Britt was a solid connection.
I know. Oh man, dude, I think Tannehill can do it if he stays healthy. I mean, what was he averaging last year, yards per game? I mean, he didn't put up hardly any passing yards in the playoffs, but he was throwing into the hundreds. Yeah, he didn't need to. So I'm pretty sure that record could definitely fall this season with Tannehill, even with Henry, being our main tractor on the offense. But yeah, sure. that stat is just mind blowing, and we've had some. Well, I was gonna say we've had some good quarterback seasons here, but Jake
have
Walker,
we really?
Steve Young, yeah. Mariota, his sophomore year, where he threw 26 touchdown passes. That's like the highest we've had since probably like Warren Moon of the Houston Oilers. Yeah. I know McNair had like good, it was early 2000s. So like if you had 24 touchdowns and 12 interceptions, that's probably a pretty decent season. But now it's like, it's like below average. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I would love to see, because as Titans fans, we haven't had that like aerial assault attack ever. We've always been run, and we have a great history of running. Like we're ragging on the lack of passing yardage over the course of his season, but we've had a 2,000-yard rusher. Eddie George was a 4-time Pro Bowler. Obviously, Derrick Henry right now. DeMarco Murray led the AFC in rushing his first year after the trade. He went to the Pro Bowl. Lindell White had a 1,000-yard year. Remember, how old are you? Do you remember Travis Henry running for
22 years old.
Oh, man. Oh, you're a baby. Well, we had this guy named Travis Henry in 2006. I think it was
I know the name.
Year.
I know the name.
He went to the University of Tennessee too, so people around here definitely know him. Yeah, he had like a 1,200-yard, 8-touchdown rushing season. That was we've had good rushing seasons here. Okay, we're a rushing team. We don't need 30,000 passing yards over here.
We're old school.
We're old school.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to see. Watching Tannehill to A.J. Brown, I was like, I've never witnessed this before. This is amazing. I can't believe we're crushing it this hard in the passing game.
For sure. With the eye-popping, 91-yard touchdown pass in Oakland last year. When's the last time we've seen a ball thrown that far completed?
And then taken to the house. Man.
Yeah, no kidding. I remember seeing the stat line at the bottom on that game that was, Titans offense today was sitting at like 591 yards of offense. And I said, I'm having a fever dream. I've never ever expect the Titans offense to put up almost 600 yards. So I really do think that stat has a lot of potential to fall this year.
Yeah, definitely. So that's definitely something to watch for over the course of this year. As well as Corey Davis's production in the passing game tagged on to that. So looking at the schedule, let's move on to the schedule in 2020. And when just like at first glance, we don't know how good all of these teams are going to be midway through the season. But just looking at it now, what do you think are the most important games we have in front of us that are already you're marking them as these are must wins? We gotta have this game.
All right, I'm going to give you 2 home games in the first 6 games of the schedule. And it's going to be the Jags coming to town on September 20th, which I have no fear about playing Jacksonville in Nissan Stadium. It seems like every time they come into town, it's an easy W. But I think setting the tone, again, I'm going to triple down on the AFC South. I think it's our time to go and get that division title. As nice as 4 winning seasons have been, they've all been 9-7 and not resulted in a division title. So I would like to see them set the tone early, winning that divisional game, and then piggybacking again when Houston comes to town on October 18th. The only real threat I see to the Titans not winning the division this year would be Houston. I'm not afraid of Jacksonville whatsoever, and I hope I don't eat my words, but I don't think Phillip Rivers is quite the answer in Indianapolis. So he doesn't scare me nearly as much as Deshaun Watson does.
And even though Phillip Rivers has a great past record against us, even though we beat him last year thanks to the Melvin Gordon goal line fumble, he historically has had our number, but maybe that was just like a Chargers thing. But I'm kind of with you on the Phillip Rivers. I'm not super scared of how much better he's gonna be with how he's getting up there in age and all that. But anyway, go ahead. You can finish. So your 2 games are Jacksonville at home and Texans at home, October 18th.
Correct. I really want them. I think those are also, I have the schedule up here. Those are the first 2 divisional games. And it always feels like, looking back to last year even, are we going to set the tone against Indianapolis week 2? No, the field caught on fire and they lost. So,
whoa. And it was the jersey retirement day of McNair and Eddie George. How terrible.
So the top thing I'm looking for in that week 2 Jacksonville game is that the field does not catch on fire. So
yes, I like it. I like it. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I was gonna say, I wasn't gonna say Jacksonville because I think we can handle them, and even if we don't, I don't think that they're gonna be anywhere near the playoffs. I feel like they're gonna be another 4-win, 5-win team this year. They're in rebuild mode. It seems like they're always in rebuild mode, unfortunately, but they're losing some key pieces on defense and all that. We'll see if Minshew Mania was a one-year wonder or if he is the real deal this year. So I wouldn't, for my answer, I wouldn't say Jacksonville, but I'm definitely with you home against the Texans, and then I'm also going to take a home win against the Colts as being one of the most crucial. And I believe that we have that home game on a Thursday night in front of a national audience. And if we win that game, that's going to be nice momentum. We're going to have a 10-day break before we have to go to Baltimore, which that's going to be rough. They're going to be out for blood for ruining their Super Bowl season last year. That's going to be a tough game. So I think being able to win against the Colts at home will give us a little extra juice and will help us the following week. But if I want to add even another one, I think this week 1 at Denver game is going to be big too. Like, yeah, I'm not huge on talking about one of the first game of the season being a must win, because obviously no NFL team is the same team from week 1 to week 17. But I think it would be big. It would be big for our team, for confidence. It's just starting the season off on the right foot, and then if we take that Jacksonville game at home and we start out 2-0, we're going to be cooking early on. Things are going to get exciting. And I think Denver might actually be pretty good this year, so that could be an important AFC win down the stretch if it comes down to tiebreakers or AFC record or common opponents, whatever those tiebreakers are. So
for sure,
I think this week 1 game could be one of the more important games of the season, just for the projection and outlook going forward after that.
For sure. I don't think Denver, Denver's not joking around this year. They've added on a lot around Drew Lock, and we'll see how it goes. It is a lot of, maybe Melvin Gordon not once what he was, or, Judy is an unproven rookie, but,
Right. And I like Phillip Lindsay, though. They still have him, right? He's pretty solid. They have Cortland Sutton at receiver, and then they have Judy now, and I think they drafted another receiver. So our defensive backs and Christian Fulton, they're going to be tested early, right out of the gate.
For sure.
I'll be interested to see, Christian Fulton at LSU and Jerry Jeudy at Alabama. They probably matched up against each other a couple times in college. I'm sure there's tape on that, but I haven't seen any. So I wonder how familiar they are with each other if they're going to get matched up. That'll be an interesting thing to watch for.
For sure. For sure.
So moving on, moving right along in this premiere episode of Season 5 of Titans Tube, we sort of already talked about some players, but who are you looking for this year to have a breakout season? Who is set up? Who's been, doing their part, playing their role, giving us some good things? But then this year, you're just looking for them to break out. It's their time now. They're pretty much should be having a Pro Bowl year this year. You got any guys in mind, Jake?
I've had a guy in mind since that wild card game in New England. I'm going to take you right to when the Patriots had 1st and goal at the 1 in that second quarter, and there was a player who made 2 of the tackles on that goal line stand, and it was Rashawn Evans.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
And he has just, ever since he's come in, another guy, keeps his head down and works, and he had the splash play with the scoop and score against Kansas City last year. That got him a little shine.
Good.
But he is one athletic dude, and I think he plays smart football, and, hat on a hat. When he gets downhill, he's an incredible linebacker. So I think he's played a lot of good football this far, but not a lot of shine, as far as Pro Bowls or maybe an All-Pros considered. But I think he has the chance to step up and be one of the leaders on this defense.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that answer. I would almost contest you and say that last year was kind of a mini breakout season for him. He doesn't have the national notoriety yet, but I think he's on his way to that for sure. I just brought up his stats here. He started all 16 games. That's great. Proven to us that you're durable for an entire season. 111 combined tackles, 2.5 sacks, and 9 tackles for loss. And he had a few more in the playoffs as well. And 9 tackles for loss is pretty solid. 8 quarterback hits. So he was in the backfield too. He's just kind of everywhere. Had that fumble recovery for a touchdown as well. I think he is set up to have a really great year. And he's like like you said, he's super athletic, and he's like a hammer, dude. He runs in there and he plays hard, and he will light you up. I would not like to see Rashawn Evans coming at me full speed, because I think that dude has found his footing. I think he was a little up and down and missed a few games due to injury his rookie year, but yeah, he definitely showed us his potential this past year. He could go down as one of the all-time great linebackers in our Titan history, along with Jayon Brown, who, man, he's. I'm super excited for our linebackers, Jake. Okay,
without a doubt. And you know, speaking of the mini breakout year, I feel like last year Jayon Brown was for sure a mini breakout year, if you will. I feel like he got a lot of a lot of attention down the stretch last year for his play. Yeah,
for sure. And even 2 years ago, I remember he had like a pick six against the Colts last game of the year. He kind of single-handedly kept us in that game. He like had a strip and fumble recovery too.
Yeah,
on a crucial
same
drive.
Play. Yeah.
I mean, we had no business winning that game with Blaine Gabbert starting, but he definitely kept us in that game by himself. Yeah, Jayon Brown. I mean, these are two guys I could easily see like toss the coin up in the air. I think one, if not both, have the potential to make a Pro Bowl this season. Which is rare for two inside linebackers on the same team being on a Pro Bowl, but I can see it. I'm biased. I think our whole team should be in the Pro Bowl.
Biased or death here at Titans Tube.
Biased or death. It's serious commitments. I have a breakout player as well. I believe in our number one tight end taking over for Delaney Walker full-time now, Jonnu Smith.
Jonnu!
Man. This guy is really getting better every single year, and I think it was 2 years ago when he was really starting to find his groove, and he went down for the rest of the season on Henry's 99-yard running play against the Jags, and he missed the rest of the season with an injury, which was a huge bummer because he was definitely trending upwards. He put in a solid season last year, clutch catch, unbelievable catch against the Ravens in the playoffs. And am I crazy to think that a tight end, except for Khalif Raymond, he sometimes looks like the fastest player we have on offense. I cannot believe sometimes how his getaway speed, just getting up and down the field in a hurry. Like, he doesn't waste any time. He turns and goes, and it's like he looks like one of the faster wide receivers in the league, and he's playing the tight end position. Dude is
the toss play
extreme athlete.
Toss play from Houston comes to mind for sure. If he sees a lane, Jonnu has the speed to really take off and get down the field without a doubt.
Yeah, and great at breaking tackles. I think his hands have improved. I know he had a bit of the case of the dropsies his first couple years.
Yeah, well, that's putting it nicely.
Yeah, but he seems to have corrected that. I think he's won over pretty much everybody now, and he's like, yes, let's get Jonnu the ball. Let's have him make things happen with the ball in his hands. He's great. And he's still a solid blocker, too. So I think, he could have – there's a lot of good tight ends out there, and it's hard to say Jonnu could be a Pro Bowler with – you have Travis Kelce, and you have I don't know. That's the only one that's coming to mind right now. But I know there's other great tight ends in the AFC.
For sure.
I'm looking for Jonnu. So let's see Jonnu and Rashawn Evans just break through, get some national notoriety, and hopefully a Pro Bowl berth. That would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, kind of continuing on the breakout year, you wanted to bring up any interesting tidbits from training camp thus far. And I think another great breakout candidate, and you said it too at the top, but Khalif Raymond finally found maybe a good wide receiver for a guy with a lot of speed. I don't want to compare him to Tyreek Hill before, we play a full... get the full, but he could be that. You can
compare their speeds.
Yeah. They're kind of a short, speedy guy who can get downfield and burn you in a hurry. And Tannehill showed that he can hit him last year. He had a big catch against Kansas City. He had the game sealer in Indianapolis. This past year, and then the famous Ravens play that really kind of put him on the map for this team.
That might have been the same play call. That looked like a mirror image of the pass against Indianapolis.
Yeah,
talking about the Ravens play. Yeah, like that sudden. And I think they were both like sudden change plays. Like we had just gotten the ball either after a punt or a turnover or something, and that was the first play call from Arthur Smith. I really, and we have heard finally some things, or I don't know about not finally if we were looking for this, but we have heard some things out of some reports out of training camp that Khalif Raymond is really, making some noise, making some plays. And I think he is inching to solidifying himself as the wide receiver 4. And I think it was either Paul Kaharski or somebody on the radio was talking about how Raymond has the most unique skill set of all of our receivers. Like the way that he's just fast. He has breakaway speed more so than any of our other receivers or players. And that kind of different dynamic can really help you out. And I think he should be more involved. We should have, 3-4 play calls for him every single game, if possible. Because he can have that game-changing, momentum swinging kind of play for us just by being the deep threat specialist.
Without a doubt.
So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he brings, because it's weird that he bounced around several different teams and practice squads for like 4 seasons before he got here, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was in Denver. He went somewhere else. He had like 3 career catches, and now he's just catching deep balls from Ryan Tannehill and destroying teams as well. So I love seeing that.
Absolutely. And we've had, the speedy slot guys before, and, Cam Batson comes to mind, or Taywan Taylor, but they've never had the hands to match that speed. And I feel like Khalif Raymond has finally come along and has the speed and the hands. That catch in Indy was a diving catch. It was a hell of a grab. And, he made a good adjustment in Baltimore as well. So I have a lot of hope for Khalif Raymond, especially with all this buzz around training camp as well.
Lastly, I guess we could talk about something that everyone and their mothers are talking about in regards to sports being played, is how COVID-19 is going to affect the season. It's already been announced that the Titans won't have any fans at the home games through at least September, and it's been announced that Denver will not have fans for the opening game on Monday Night Football. So, I don't know. What do you think? Are we going to even see the full season being played out, where there'll be fans at any games at any point? How is that going to affect, the play on the field? Will it factor in at all? What are your thoughts about that, Jake?
It's going to be super interesting. As this whole pandemic has been, it changes seemingly daily to weekly. But I think the expanded roster sizes this year, and I think the practice squad also got a boost as far as the number of players you can have on. But I think it's going to be a really next man up mentality in the league this year. Especially say, one of the Titans' star players, goes down with COVID, has to sit out 2 weeks. And it's going to, you said, Khalif Raymond stepping up in the place of an Adam Humphries, or, one of the more top receivers. It's going to drive that a lot. And I think it could be a good year for underdog guys stepping up and getting opportunities into games. As far as fans go, I kind of saw that coming. I wasn't expecting, especially, here we are in mid to late August, and they just now announced that the, home opener won't have fans or things like that. I didn't expect that. But I did hear, again, shout out to the OTP official Titans podcast, that the Titans practiced in Nissan Stadium the other day, and apparently the crowd noise going out to broadcasts and things like that are pretty well simulated. So I'm interested as a fan viewing on TV how that broadcast is going to look and sound, and if they're going to do the cardboard cutout thing that the MLB is doing. That kind of thing. It's going to be an interesting thing to see on the broadcast for sure.
Yeah, man. As a season ticket holder, I'm a little disappointed that I may not get to go to any games this year. Stinks. I hate viruses. Really, like, they're the worst. Yeah, I mean, and we, NBA and NHL and, like you said, MLB, they're dealing with it. MLB, they've had some delays, but basketball, I guess their ratings have been down. That's what I've been hearing and reading about. But it seems like, I can't really tell if it's actually affecting the play on the ice or on the court.
I thought the NBA restart's been great.
Yeah, I've been watching some games, and it looks like any other NBA game minus the fans. It seems like they're putting forth the effort. It feels like a natural flow.
I do like the
as far as
LED
the game
screens
goes.
they have around the court. I feel like it kind of fills it in a little more than, say, an empty arena or an empty stadium.
Yeah.
So
right.
I like that faction, but I don't think you could do that in the NFL, though, with the basketball court being so close quarters.
That's true. I'm finally relieved that it's always bothered me how the press in basketball, it always lines up 3 feet away from the actual inbounds line on the court, and players are falling into the media all the time at full momentum. It's why are they? Do they have to be that close? These athletes are running full speed and are just crashing into cameras and crashing into people.
Same thing on the sidelines, man.
Yeah,
same thing on the sidelines of the NFL.
True. I think it's a little bit further back, but it seems like every time, every other driving layup, they're just falling into people. And it's is that necessary? Can the press move back some? Just zoom in a little bit more on your camera. Whatever. That's a minor complaint. Anyway, dude, we got to wrap this up because I can't believe we filled out the entire 57 minutes on my tape. So we have less than a minute to go, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this podcast. If you were in it for only Caleb, then I'm sorry if you're out of luck this year, because this is how we're rolling this year, and it's gonna be great with Jake. Great with Jake. That's awesome. All right, Jake, thank you so much for joining us. Any closing thoughts?
Man, I'm really excited to be a part of the Titans Tube community, and I really love this team and everybody around it. So I just want to thank you for letting me come on and try and fill some shoes this year.
Yeah, awesome. Absolutely. Thank you for being willing to do this. And what do you guys think? Comment below your thoughts about the season, your thoughts about the